As a trichology student, I often have people asking me for hair advice. How do I grow out my hair? How do I grow back my hair? How do I grow out my edges? Or just simply, how do I care for my hair? The more I've reflected on these questions, the more I realize that the issue isn't necessarily to do with hairstyling techniques, a lack of hair care products, though I think these are really important as well and should be given attention to. I really think that the foundation has to do with mindsets. Oftentimes there are beliefs and attitudes that drive these unhealthy hair care practices, which essentially contribute to the hair struggles that I think a lot of people experience. Many of the choices that we make about our hair often has nothing to do with hair at all. Often it's beliefs that we've picked up over time, often, without question, driven by convenience, fear, perhaps even laziness, and has nothing to do with actually the unique needs of our hair. As in any other area of life, reflection is how we start to unpack that. It's how we grow. It's how we decide what is helping us, which habits are beneficial and which habits need to be let go of because they aren't actually serving us. After all, how can you change something that has never been challenged or questioned? So today I would like to reflect with you and focus on one particular mindset that often trickles down into other thought patterns that could be shaping how you treat your hair. So the first mindset is Afro hair is too much work. This mindset is very uncomfortable and maybe even unspeakable. However, it's a really important one because it's rooted in generations of messaging that has taught us to see our kinky curly hair as a burden. So just to be clear, I'm not saying that looking after textured hair doesn't require work, time, effort, because it absolutely does. However, there is so much in life that requires work, and just existing requires work and effort. And so there really is a difference between saying something is work and saying something is too much work. That's a completely different matter entirely. For a lot of people, learning to love Afro textured hair requires a lot of unlearning. This is a very rewarding process. However, it does require a lot of work and mental energy, which can be quite draining. When you've internalized the belief that your hair is too difficult to work with, it's less attractive, or simply unattractive, every wash day becomes a confrontation with these beliefs. This can be very draining, not because there's anything wrong with the hair, but because there is a lot of emotional labor behind it. In addition to mindsets fueling hair care habits, oftentimes those very habits fuel and strengthen the mindsets. For example, part of the reason your Afro hair may seem like it's too much work could be because you've made your routine unnecessarily complicated and have added one too many steps. And it's that extra step which it reinforces the mindset that your hair is too much work. Oftentimes, simplifying is the breakthrough we need. A routine doesn't need to be long to be effective. It just needs to be informed, intentional, and consistent. Also, if you're going weeks or months without cleansing, hydrating, conditioning, or detangling your hair, of course, wash day is absolutely going to feel like a burden because essentially the work piles up. You're dealing with shed hairs that haven't been removed, tangles, scalp buildup from sebum products, dead skin, and hair strands that are likely in desperate need of hydration and conditioning. The exhaustion you feel is not because your hair is too much, it's simply because your hair has been neglected. Another thing to mention is that the more you avoid interacting with your hair, the more you miss the opportunity to get better acquainted with your hair. So you become out of touch with how it behaves, what it needs, what styling products, hairstyles, or techniques work best for your hair. And that disconnection will only further reinforce the belief and your reality that your hair is too much work or too hard to manage. In contrast, someone who has a simple, weekly, yet consistent routine is more likely going to experience feeling at ease or at peace with their hair. So the bottom line is, the less you avoid your hair, the less effort it actually requires to look after your hair. And that's like most things in life. The more you do something, the easier it becomes and the less intimidating it feels. Another really important mindset shift that helps is to start seeing your hair as an extension of your body, not as a separate chore. We bathe, we brush our teeth, cleanse and moisturize our faces. So why should our scalp and hair be treated any differently? Your scalp is essentially skin, and it deserves the same attention and hygiene that your face and body gets. Scalp hygiene is so important and very, very underrated. I will be diving deeper into scalp care in my next videos. What I'm not saying is that your life needs to revolve around your hair. However, when you shift the mindset from burden to stewarding, healthy hair care habits will naturally follow. And honestly, you don't need an elaborate routine that takes hours. You just need something that's thoughtful, science-informed, and consistent. So the goal of this little reflection exercise is simply to help you to get honest with yourself. Again, you cannot know the true answer to something you've never questioned. There is no right or wrong answer here. So honesty and vulnerability are the goal, because how you feel about your hair at its roots will absolutely shape how you treat it. Here are a few questions to think through. If you removed extensions from your hairstyling routine entirely and only wore your hair, including special occasions like weddings, birthdays, Christmas, would you feel as beautiful compared to wearing extensions, e.g. braids, wigs, ponytails? What is your favorite way to wear your hair? Stretched, shrunken, slicked, blown out, straightened, or in styles with extensions like box braids, wigs, or cornrows? Why is this your preference? How would you feel if you had to completely stop slicking down your hair and edges? Would you feel less put together or attractive, especially in relation to special events like weddings? If so, why? Do you feel anxious about your wash days? If yes, what exactly feels overwhelming? Is it the time, the process, or something deeper? What do you believe people think about your hair texture? Do you agree with them? Haircare is very personal, but it's also deeply social. So the way you speak about your hair, the way you treat it, the choices you make around your hair, these are all quiet messages that not just shape your beliefs, but also the beliefs of those who are listening and observing. In summary, how we think about our hair becomes how we treat it, and how we treat it becomes the story we pass on. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Until the next video, take care. Bye.